Welcome back to Marathon Phoenix Commentary. My name is Ryoko TK. We'll be covering episode 13, Something Wicked. This is the last level of Chapter 3, and it is definitely a bit of a shift stylistically and sort of atmospherically from the previous 3 levels. And actually most of the scenario in general, because where most of Phoenix is very, very action-packed and very densely packed from start to finish, this level takes a much slower approach and just kind of lets some of the set pieces and some of the areas speak for themselves a little bit. And in terms of appearance, this is one of my favorite levels, and it was really that opening part that sets it off. The objective of this level, we finally sort of found what we're looking for plot-wise. We've reached the sort of this isolated renegade base kind of area, and we need to break a bunch of wires. And so the first part of this level, we're just sort of approaching the base, and I really like how it's done. Sort of that first shot where you see it up on the hill, and then you kind of pass through that sort of sewer, and then we're going up this wall, or this platform here. Originally, this level was going to be a secret level because it's paced very differently from other levels in Phoenix, so it's sort of off the beaten path. But it turned out to be, I liked it so much that I felt it would be kind of criminal to not have it be a part of the main game. So it kind of just goes to show the importance, I guess, of having some levels stand out. Because once you sort of build up a pattern, and this is sort of in any sort of serial project, so I guess like a TV show, I suppose. I've never made one, obviously. Like a TV show or a video game like this or anything like that. Anything that breaks the mold will stand out, and if you execute it really well, it will be very memorable as the thing that doesn't sort of follow the pattern. And that doesn't mean that the pattern is bad. I don't know, I'm probably not explaining this well. This level is good because it does not have a million monsters attacking you all the time. That does not mean that the levels where you do have a million monsters attacking you all the time are bad. They're not bad. Those are good too. But because that pattern is set so early on and it's so consistent, a well-executed instance of that not occurring is just as good. We're ending the first leg of the level here. This is a relatively short level. It's pretty linear, just got a couple of simple set pieces. What I really like about this level is how I use multiple texture sets, and I think I made this one very shortly after a change of seasons. I don't remember the timing exactly, but I think this one sort of plays on the shifts in texture choices much better than that level does. And I think I like that level too, a change of seasons. I like that level as well, and I have no complaints. But this one, the second part of this level has a couple of very different areas, like this right here. Now we're inside this big circular tower, and it's completely hidden from the rest of the level, so you don't know what's coming really. But I think it meshes with the level really well, and this is probably one of my favorite rooms in the entire game. Of any level, this is one of my favorite parts. This big, tall, circular tower. In part because of how it sort of sneaks up on you, but also just sort of how it actually plays out. As you kind of climb and go up and down, you get attacked by all these hunters at a range, and then it sort of repopulates with more hunters. Plays on a lot of elevation changes really well. Just a very vertically oriented room in general, which is sort of unusual. And I just think it's really cool. I kind of like how it all came together. So like I said, the objective of this level is to break some wires, and after the last save that I just reached, it kind of breaks off into two paths. One goes up and one goes down, and then you have to go down. You have to go through both paths, of course, in order to find all the wires to break. The basement part of this level is a totally different style too. That's like a lava area, and this, of course, is like a spaceship themed level, or part of the level. So I just sort of used this level to experiment some more with meshing of texture sets. And one thing that I kind of learned as a product of it, it's very now that you can use all the different texture sets and when you're making a marathon map, it's really important to remember that when those sets were designed, they were designed to represent different types of spaces. And so you have to use them with that in mind, just because like they're gonna stand out and look really strange if you use these like spaceship textures to make sort of like a dingy sewer or like a weird alien fort or something like that. That's not what those textures are meant for. And there's some context that's sort of associated with those textures, and you have to maintain that as best you can. Or you at least have to have a reason why you're using them out of their element. Mostly, this is just a level where I really like. I like this part of the level the most, just as you keep going higher and higher and higher up this very vertically orientated part of the level, and it's unusual and it looks really cool, and because it kind of comes out of nowhere, so to speak. So I think it has a pretty good impact in terms of how the experience sort of plays out, and it makes for a pretty dynamic level. It's not a very difficult level, mind, but it never was meant to be. But it does have some sort of nasty encounters. I guess this is one of them. So anyway, we're at the first batch of wires here. So this level is getting pretty close to done already. This is a short one. And I think, in contrast, like, not only am I using each of the texture sets. Oh, by the way, here we go. So I reached the secret here, and then I fell off the ledge, so I didn't get the invincibility. But I did get the skull, so I don't go back to get it later. Anyway, not only are the different areas of this level, not only do they contrast the texture choices, but also sort of the layout. So this exterior area, this is all mostly water textures, a little bit of sewer mixed in. But this is very, very, very wide open. You can see almost across the entire available length of the map. And then, of course, the spaceship part, which I just finished up, is that very tall and kind of narrow space. And then we're about to head downstairs into the lava part of the level, and that's a very sort of cramped and dark, and so it's three fairly disparate styles of level that are all mixed together really well. Just one, I don't know. I'm really pleased with how this one kind of turned out, and pleased with the shifting environments. And I think there's a lot of the changing environments really add a good impact. Also, the use of fog, which in general I'm not a big fan of fog. Marathon Rubicon and Marathon Eternal both greatly overuse fog. Fog can be good and it can be bad. It was added in with an earlier version of Aleph 1. It's not a vanilla Marathon feature. It is kind of cool because, of course, it adds uh, sort of a color effect to the whole level, which lets you get a little, helps you add a little variety to a texture set you might be using a lot of, especially if you're going to have several levels in a row that use the same texture set. Changing the colors of the fog will help sort of give it a different feel. But, of course, it tends to be done too much. It's laid on too thick. And Rubicon, in particular, is way too dense with its application of fog. And, of course, the addition of fog tends to wash out sort of details of the architecture and the texturing. And you usually don't want that. So it's good and bad, but I like it in this level because it sort of mutes the palette a little bit. And adds to the sort of mood of the level, which is a little quieter and a little slower paced. And I tried to put it on some other levels, and I wasn't really pleased with how it came out, and not really pleased with what it did to my own work. But in this case, I really like how it came together. Anyway, that's the end of the level, and that's actually the end of the chapter as well. Like I said, it's a short one. Thank you for watching, and we will talk again very, very soon, maybe.